It's been a program that was established to help people get more in touch with their feelings and truly get some rehabilitation.
I am Gladiator Goliath. And I am Spartacus.
I want you to talk me through what you thought when you first heard the concept for this film.
I thought it was an extraordinary concept. First of all, when I found out about this program that the film is based on, rehabilitation through the arts at Sing Sing Prison, I thought it was phenomenal. You have these inmates doing theater work, playing theater games, performing Shakespeare. And they found by doing that, it was having a rehabilitative process on their whole lives, changing their DNA, working through past trauma, rebuilding these men in such a profound way that there is a less than 3% recidivism rate amongst the people who've gone through this program compared to 60% nationwide. Recidivism is, once they get out, they no longer go back in.
Wow.
So we say there's usually a 60% rate of men that do that, or men or women, when they leave prison, they go back in. This is a profound case study showing that how this art is transforming these lives.
And so your castmates, a majority of them are formerly incarcerated people.
Yeah.
They actually go back and film in this setting, which is ex-prison.
Yeah, and
what was that like for them?
I think for many of them, they were actually, in New York State, there's a prison called Downstate that many of them make their first stop before they're shipped off to other prisons. So most of my cast actually spent time at Downstate Prison where we shot. So for them, I think in many ways, I think, as from what they've said, it's been a privilege to tell a story like this, because it is a story that is not a prison drama at all. You really get behind the walls and really get these human stories. And these men are not a monolith in any way, shape, or form, from their experience, how they got there, you name it. You get to really get these individual stories and also look at the spirit of this program that they founded, which really has been a breakthrough in every single way.
In terms of these men, what struck me the most was a lot of them black men were showing, it felt like, emotion and rawness and pain and everything for the first time. What was that experience like?
A lot of times there are these tropes and these ideals of what black men and brown men have to be in society, or what society puts on us. I'm always trying to show moments of tenderness between black and brown men in particular, to show how we hold each other and hold each other up in many ways. And it feels like it's the antithesis of what the way the world sees us most times, to have all these feelings. These men on the inside were doing some real work to make sure that they were smashing every one of those tropes and all those things that were unhealthy that they walked in there with. Being all this toxic masculinity in many ways. To know that being sensitive, to be tender, to be loving, to be caring, to acknowledge your feelings, there's nothing wrong with that at all. If anything, it's a key to your liberation, it's a key to your wellness and your mental health. And not only you need it, but you need it for your family and also for your community. And then society is even better.
One of the scenes that I think broke me, the person who was on the parole board just almost not believing.
Yeah.
So are you acting at all during this interview?
How did you find that moment playing that?
I think that moment, has to come from something I'm pulling deep within myself, and not only the experience of many men who are wrongly accused of a crime, who are not believed in. Many ways, the systems are set up to believe that we're one way. Please, I know this just by walking out in the streets, how I may be perceived. People may not know my status, may not know where I come from, my education or whatever. I'm just seen as this shadow of a man. So I understand that. You know what I mean? I do understand that.
Do you still feel that?
I do feel that. It's hard not to feel that way. There's nothing that separates me from sort of the every man walking down the street. Yeah, some people may know who I am, may know my education, may know where I'm from, all this other stuff. But sometimes people just see me as another, whatever they have in their head of a black man. It doesn't remove me. Anything that I have now doesn't remove me from that. So I was able to tap into that, truly. Yeah.
I did want to ask as well, what did you learn from your castmates who were all equally paid, I read?
Yes.
Which is obviously really important for people who are coming out of that system.
I tell you, one of the strongest things that I've learned, especially from the guy who I portray, John Divine G. Whitfield, he told me two things that gave me everything I needed to find his spirit. which was when he was on the inside, he was what he considered himself a jailhouse lawyer. I mean, he advocated for many other people. He was always in the law library. He was advocating for better food to make sure people were ready for their parole board hearings, you name it. He was dependent on it in that way. So he found his agency in that way. And another is that he was a founding member of this RTA program. That told me that he was very hopeful. And he kept going, even when he had a parole board hearing and he was, his evidence, he was very much wrongly accused of this crime. But within the system didn't believe him, and he spent 7 more years inside. Yet he still, the lights stayed on in his heart and in his mind. So I knew how to play him. I think I was taught resilience from men like that. Men who are in a very dangerous container called the prison industrial complex, and still making sure they're holding on to their humanity in every way, shape, and form. I learned a lot from them.
Here in the UK, we've got a prison capacity issue where our government is actually releasing people early. What's your experience of seeing rehabilitation firsthand and how that can actually change people?
I think it's important for us as a society to really imagine what kind of society do we want to be? Do we just lock people up and put them away? Or do we really help give them a path to be better, to do the work? Whatever that means. There's programs around the world, like in Sweden, where they're introducing gardening, introducing, having animals, caring for something, getting tools that they may not have had or the opportunity to be. I think that's important for all of us.
Some people might say that's quote unquote soft on crime. You're just giving them a free pass.
Yeah, but it's like, crime is built, and it's more nuanced than that. I think crime is built with a lot of nuance. I think a lot of times, listen, I do have a soft spot in my heart for sometimes, I grew up around a lot of brothers who end up in prison. And when I say end up, meaning choices they've made or had to make, or things they needed, or whatever. Why do people rob? Why do people kill? Why do people do that? I don't know. There's a lot of nefarious reasons why as well. I'm not going to deny that. There's a lot of heinous reasons. But also we have to look at society as a whole and look at what were they given when they were children in school, food, shelter, faith. Someone told they were believed in, they were loved, they were special, they were important, that they had a voice, that they had access and agency. For me, it's like going back there. We do the work to fix that. In the United States is redlining is about access to good food, about schools, all that stuff. We have to unpack all of that to get to a place where we start to really deconstruct and really, admonish and do away with a lot of people who are ending up in prison.
I wanted to briefly move on to your childhood. You grew up in West Philadelphia.
West Philadelphia, born and raised. Like Will Smith.
I believe that. I was like, I believe there's a song.
Yeah.
You've described yourself as shy and introverted, and I just wonder.
Shocking, isn't it?
Yeah. Where do you get the confidence then to?
I'm reformed. I think so.
A reformed introvert.
I really am, actually. I think I still consider myself an introvert. Like when I'm at home, my husband knows I'm usually in my office, quiet. I go for walks. I'm sort of like a cat who's learned how to be a dog, who's learned how to be a Labrador Retriever. So, I think of myself as still someone who, I was an observer always because I was very shy. I had a speech impediment. I didn't think I was a cool kid. My older siblings were cool and athletic, and I was the shy, bookish one.
And you also had people around you that just let you be you.
I think so, but of course, there were challenges along the way of people wanting me to be something else or fit another mold or dampen down a part of myself. But because I have been loved, and I was told that I'm loved, and I told that I was all these beautiful things from my parents, in many ways, and the people who love me. And I've sought out my community that are hopefully we're reflections of each other. And I think that's how I know how to be in the world, because I'm loved.
After the US elections this year, you posted something.
Just because you wish for it, don't mean it won't come true. Just believe, hold tight, and hold open your hands.
A little art I made during tough times to lift us all, keeping our head towards the sky, keeping a song in your heart. Why did you post that, and how are you feeling about January and the inauguration of President-elect Trump?
You know what I feel? I still feel very hopeful. I said, no one can kill hope. Only you can kill hope. I have to remain hopeful. I know that I'm a proud descendant of slaves. And whatever I'm being dealt with in my life by far is by far not greater than the Middle Passage. And people who have sweat, worked, tilled, also loved, laughed, so I could be here. This is my turn. And how am I going to greet challenges? I'm going to greet it with the spirit of an artist and to say, hey, I understand that people can feel many different ways about one person doesn't change the whole world. I just don't believe that. Yes, we'll have a different person in every 4 years. But what can I do as an artist? I can affect change in my communities with the way I greet a person every time I see them, how I can write and create work that make us feel more alike than unalike so we get to know each other a bit more, so that hopefully we won't have such a chasm of divides. That's how I feel. I feel like, yes, there are people that need to march out in the street. There are people that need to get angry. There are people that need to be worried. I'm someone that woke up the next morning and say, I want to be love in the world. How can I put more love in the world? And I can put more understanding. We also need that. And I guess that's how I feel I'm in service to the world with my work.
Would you say you're your ancestors' wildest dream?
I know I'm my ancestors' wildest dreams in every single way.
There's one other thing that's happening in 2025. You're co-chair for the Met Gala.
I knew you were going to ask me that.
Alongside Pharrell, A$AP Rocky, Lewis Hamilton, and it's entitled Superfine. I have to say it in that way.
I think they called it because of me. No, I'm totally kidding.
Yeah, no, they absolutely did. Superfine, tailoring Black style. What can we expect to see?
I think it's going to be an exceptional night. It's going to be a historic night because it's the first time they've ever focused on Black male tailoring. Yeah. And I feel like it's, listen, not only just being a Black man, but I understand what we do for the culture and how we move the needle, how we make and create out of nothing. Mm-hmm. So I feel like, that's the history of our people, no matter what. But I look forward to seeing this on a huge display, for the Metropolitan Gala. I'm excited about it.
I mean, how many outfits do you have?
You know what? I think it's funny. I was literally talking to Miss Anna Wintour about it the other day.
Miss Anna Wintour, how many outfits do I have today?
We're thinking, I think there'll be at least a week of events leading up to it. And I feel like each one will be an opportunity to give a bit of history, a bit of a love on someone in the decades who's inspired fashion, especially Black male tailoring.
That's a very decorative way of not giving me an answer at all on what it will look like.
Many outfits, many looks, and I mean LEWKS.
Amazing. Colman Domingo, thank you so very much.
Sure, thank you. You're lovely.
Oh, thank you.
Sure.